to terms and conditions of a contemporary independent recording or production contract. The total time in this round is 60 minutes. Each team will receive 1 3-minute timeout and 1 2-minute timeout. The round clock will start after I give you guys the go. Our judge, Attorney Brian Robinson, will give feedback after either the round time is expired or a mutual agreement is reached. After which point the top 50% will advance to round 3. All right. If everyone is ready, I will go ahead and begin. Good luck. We will start with the production company.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan, and this is my co-counsel, Joe.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
We'll be representing Ruinous Records today. So first, after you guys introduce yourselves, we would love to go over a quick agenda for the topics we'd like to talk about so we can stay on track with the brief time we have.
Thank you so much for that, Ryan, and nice to meet you, Joe. My name is Alyssa Rivera, and I'm here with my co-counsel, Miss Nina Marguglio and Mr. Reagan Wilkins. We are here on behalf of Miss Winter Evans, aka Winter Runner. We are very excited to be here today and hopefully reach a negotiation in pleasant terms for both you and our client in pursuit of this record label company. So we'd love to hear your opening offer.
Of course.
I'd also just like to add that we're also here on behalf of Big Quiche and Quiche Runner LLC.
Of course. It's very nice to meet you, Alyssa, Regan, and Nina. We're very excited to be meeting with you to discuss signing Winter to Ruinous. And with that being said, I'm just going to jump into the agenda that we have for today. So first, we'd like to talk about the term length that Winter would remain with us. We'd like to talk about the amount of masters that we would control. We'd like to talk about the amount in advance that Winter would receive. We'd like to talk about the budget that Winter would be allowed for recording, the budget that Winter would be allowed for marketing, the percentage that Winter could receive in royalties, and the ancillary rights that we would receive. Are there any other topics that you guys would like to discuss?
I don't believe so. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Excellent. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to my co-counsel, Joe, who will present our initial offer.
Thanks, Ryan. Yes, I'm dropping a link in the chat right now to a Google spreadsheet that'll have our offer. I'll go ahead and run through it as well for clarity's sake. So we're looking at, and let me know if you have any issues opening it up, but we're looking at a term of 1 single with an additional, our right of first negotiation after that single for a demo album. We are looking for 30 masters delivered and owned outright by Ruinous. We are presenting a $20,000 advance that's recoupable against all sales. A total of a $32,000 recording budget, split $16,000 for recording and $16,000 for marketing, of which the recording $16,000 would be recoupable as well against all sales. 10% royalty US NRC, artist royalty US NRC, and then we're also looking for a 360 rights, a rights deal as well. So I'm happy to run through, or if you have any questions on that, I'm happy to address any of your concerns you have. I'm curious as to your thoughts in general, really.
Thank you for that offer. Looking over it, I believe this is an excellent starting point for a negotiation. We are happy with the term length. We would love to discuss the other aspects of your proposal, and we'd like to counter with 250,000 executive advance, recoupable from only the micro single, with execution being 60-40 split between Winter Runner LLC and 40% going to Ruinous Records. A master is limited to 14 masters, revocable to Quiche Runner LLC. We'd like to up the funding for promotions to 350,000 and a recording fund of 500,000. And no ancillary interest in any other aspects of previous terms for Winter.
Can you put that somewhere where I could see it? I think I missed some pieces here and there. I think you said $250,000 royalty recoupable against advance recoupable against the single. I think you said 40% artist royalty. And I think I got 350K promotion and a 500K recording fund, but I'm not sure of I think I may have missed a few of the terms.
I just sent it in the group chat,
Oh, okay,
the winter offer.
perfect.
Apologize for that.
No, you're good, no worries. Just give me a second here to open it up.
Yeah, it's opening for me as well. So when you say demo single with, it says ROFT 2.1, what does that, what are you referring to in that? I don't understand what you're saying here.
I believe it's supposed to be right of first refusal. I think there's a
Right of
little
first
typo.
refusal.
It's the same terms that you presented in your offer. So if we want to go ahead, we can lock those in. I think the term length is good for both our client and you, so we can go ahead and take that one off the agenda, because I think we both had the same exact offer for that one. And then just to further kind of explain anything with the masters, we would like to have a right of first refusal reversion to Quiche Runna if the album sales, if Ruinous Records decides not to pursue the album, we would like these to have a possibility to revert back to Quiche Runna LLC, because ultimately we just don't want to be in a position where she doesn't have control over her music if Ruinous Runners does not pursue the album deal.
That's understandable. I think that we'll have to discuss that term a little bit more. But we would also like to talk about the recording and the promotion budget. What do you guys feel like you need? I feel like $500,000 and $350,000 is a lot for recording and promotion. Can you talk a little bit more on that?
Sure, I'd be happy to break down some of our reasoning on that. So to begin, we believe a $350K promotions and marketing fund, right, would be appropriate because Winter's music has lit an amazing fire that takes many artists years to get it started. She has an audience in the millions, the hundreds of millions now. Michael's numbers have like turned themselves over several times. The larger the audience, the more monies that are required to keep all those people engaged across numerous platforms. So that's why we feel like that number needs to come up. As for the recording fund, we believe that $500K would be appropriate because it can cost between $2,000 to $10,000 to record a single track of music. And an album has roughly 14 to 15 songs. So that alone can cost between $75,000 and $150,000. With that being said, a very cool and important element of rap and hip hop tracks and albums these days are artist features. And features usually cost a minimum of 6 figures. For example, Meg The Stallion recently paid Future $250,000 for a verse. Lil Baby and DaBaby both they charge $300K for a feature. So in order to make sure that this album gets the reach that we want, gets the numbers that both of us want, I think we need to both account for those expenses.
And just to kind of build off that, what my co-counsel was saying, ultimately in this field of music, you have to bring the big money to make the money. You have to be able to do the flashy stuff. And ultimately, this isn't just a regular, new artist signing. She has the numbers to back it up. She's turned her song plays over, her shares over 300 million times. This is just, kind of unheard of in this society. And so I think, as my co-counsel was saying, just kind of feeding that flame and just ultimately giving her, if we want this to succeed the way we all want it to do, we have to be willing to invest a little bit up front. With that being said, I think we are willing to go down a little bit from 500K, but ultimately we do still want to see a hefty amount in that recording fund, because Michael is already recorded. All of the work is already done on that song. So any profit that you see from that song, that work is already done by Keishrana. So you have to think you are basically getting a free recorded song into this deal that already has the backing, that already has the shares. All you have to do is place it in the right places and you're going to see profit from it. So ultimately it's a front end investment, but I think it will pay off for both ends.
And on top of that, it's not just limited to what Winter can do within her time with Ruinous Records. There's plenty of other instances where an opening artist signing onto a label could eventually lead to other artists wanting to flock to that label just for sheer numbers sake. This is an outstanding starting point. 300 million cumulative streams across all social media is a point that many artists don't reach at any point in their career. With Winter reaching that at the very threshold, or at the very beginning of her young career, it's very indicative of where she's going to go in the future. And to invest in an artist like this is surely will bring some level of rewards. All depending on that, we just need a monetary investment to continue to keep that flame going, as my co-counsel had said.
I think a lot was said there. So kind of just to jump back to the beginning of what you guys said, at first, talking about like the marketing budget and that stuff, with Michael, she had very minimal budget. So I mean, I think that she's shown that she could be very successful with her incredible following that she's already had. So I mean, to us, it just seems like to give her so much money in marketing would go against what she's already so good at. It would make more sense to give her more money and emphasize her ability to record and do other things, because at the end of the day, it's about her music, and that's what's going to sell her here. Can you said you might be able to come down in some areas. Where do you think that you would be able to come down?
Yes, I think we can have a little bit of fluctuation room, as you said, with that marketing promotion fund. I think I agree with you that she does have a great presence and she will make her own fan base and she will feed that by herself. But ultimately, I don't think that it's going to hurt for you to also invest. You know, ultimately, she has built a great fan base on her own, and that is great. But also, money cannot help, and marketing promotions can't hurt. You know, like this can't hurt anything. So with that being said, I think I agree with you on the marketing promotions fund. I think we can go down a little bit on that. But with the recording fund, I think we can move a little bit of fluctuation. But like I said earlier, there is the consideration that you are signing an artist who has a major song already recorded. All the work has already been done on it. All you have to do is place it in the right places and you will be receiving immediate profit from that. So with that being said, I think that we can budge a little bit on the recording fund, a little bit on the marketing fund, but ultimately we're going to have to see some concessions elsewhere to kind of get any further from that.
Yeah, and I'm hearing you. We empathize with those points, and we all are searching for the same things. You know, I do want to point out, you know, with Ginger Rell, for example, I mean, she had what we offered you is exactly what she got for one single, and she's made hundreds of thousands of dollars from that. So we don't see, in fact, like the numbers that you're asking for, even though that song has been so successful, we'd still be behind. That song would still be at losing, and that's been a very successful song. And on top of that too, I think with those high advances, and if we have low advances and low recording budgets that are recoupable, the money that Winter can earn on her new song is going to be earned quicker. She'll get that money much quicker than if she has a large advance. With that said, I'd be happy. I prepared a counter offer. Just give me a moment here, and I'm going to post it in that same link. So we're willing to double our advance to a 40K advance that's recoupable against all sales. We're also willing to double the recording budget again to 64K, and then that would be 32K for recording and marketing, and then the recording being recoupable. And again, I think this is reflective of the points I was just kind of making, which is that Ginger Rell had less money than this and has been highly successful. And I think if we're talking about a single, the number based on what the market has dictated, it doesn't seem to really justify numbers that are much larger than this, because it's been proven not only by Winter but by Ginger that you don't need a lot of money to succeed on a song. I think $64,000 to make a successful song is more than adequate, we believe.
Right, but the statistic is just for one song. We would be trying to push an entire album, multiple songs, multiple hits, ideally 2 or 3 within that. So give that 64,000 a few times over in order to get that kind of return for the album.
As I
We
understand it
might-
now, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were
No,
just.
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're only having ROFR on the album. So if we have an ROFR on the album,
Wait, I can't do this. I can't. I've lost so much already. I know brother's gonna mess me over. Even Keish won't be able to stop it.
Miss Winter, I just want to say that we're trying to make your career as successful as we possibly can. And we believe that if you sign with us, that the next step in your career is going to be with a major label. We have incredible connections with Atlanta Records. So if these are things that you're looking for, I think that these would be, excellent terms for you to propel yourself into superstardom potentially.
Thank you so much. I think we'd like to take a 2-minute timeout, just kind of regroup and probably come back to you with some fresh offers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
All right, team. So I will go ahead and place you in your respective breakout rooms, and you will have 2 minutes. You'll get a timer when it is 60 seconds left on the clock. Of course, feel free to use up the entire 60 seconds. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. All right, everyone. We have 44 minutes and 9 seconds left on the clock. I will go ahead and resume, and you guys may resume as well.
All right, thank you so much. I just wanted to also, I feel like I didn't do enough to empathize with Winter's situation here. We really are very excited to work with her, and we care very deeply about her situation. I also wanted to address, before you guys get into the counter, I'm sorry, I just wanted to address one point that you guys made about the recording budget with features. We believe that Winter here is the star, and we want to make sure that she's the focus, and we're not bringing in other artists to supplement her success. We think that she's going to be able to be like uber successful on her own, because people resonated with her song and her personally. So we really want to emphasize her here. With that, you guys said you were going to come up with a counteroffer.
Thank you so much. You saying that does mean a lot to our client, so thank you. So for the counter, we really think that it's unheard of to not include features. We are so glad that you have that confidence in Winter. We do too. But with that being said, we would only like to come down $20,000 on our initial recording fund for a $480K recording fund. We can also come down $20,000 on the marketing and promotion for that to be $330K on that. In exchange, we can concede to give you a few more masters from your originally asked for 30. We can come up to 18 masters on that. How does that sound? And please let us know if you would like us to push a term sheet if you're ready.
I'll put a term sheet.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
don't mind, that'd be great. I think I got them all. I think I got everything here though. Yeah, I think we're pretty far apart on these numbers. You know, it's like we really want to make the deal work, and we do understand that features are important. And you know, I think with the numbers that you're at, I mean, for example, the advances that you're asking for, when you look at artists like Dead Short and Brenda Mars, you know, the advance for Brenda Mars, for example, she gets 600,000 an album, and that's at the very, very high end. And then for the other artists, you know, the advance for them, and this is on a multiple album deal, you know, their albums are $100,000 per album, $116,000, $200,000 per album. So it's hard. And they're getting a lot more products for that advance as well. And for more established artists. So I'm curious, you know, how much wiggle room do you guys have on this advance? Because for the amount of product that we're purchasing, essentially with that advance, it becomes difficult compared to what others have paid for more product. And we believe in Winter. We want to make this work, but we need to make the numbers make sense. You know, and the high advance is not necessarily in her best interest. You know, if she gets all that money at once, that's great. But if she can't recoup any of it, she's not going to get any of the long-term money. So I'm curious as to your thoughts about how. I know you guys only went down 20,000, but you know, I'm curious where you guys are coming from with those numbers.
Yes, I want to go ahead and just jump into that because I would love to answer some of those questions for you. Ultimately, where we're at and what it seems like it's coming down to is just confidence and, you know, being a little bit conservative on both ends. Ultimately, we are in the best interest of protecting Winter, and that's what we want to do. And to us, I don't think if I'm looking at the last thing that is put in this Google Docs, a 40K advance is not obtainable advance for an artist. That's, you know, maybe a lawyer, maybe a dentist, but this is an artist. She needs that money up front to sustain her lifestyle. She is a brand. We have to feed a brand. And with that being said, I think all of these numbers, I mean, they're very, you know, financially smart, and it just keeps coming down to this is an investment on both ends. And in order for us to make money, we have to put money into this. So with that being said, I understand that you think it's one single with a demo album right of first refusal, but we're offering 18 masters, and that's what this money is going into. You're not paying 150K and all of these recording funds for one single. It's 18 masters now. So with that being said, I just think that the execution bonus and the recording fund being under 6 figures is just ultimately not going to work for any either party. I hear you saying that you don't want to do features, or you don't think she needs features, and you don't think she needs the marketing promotions because she's doing it on her own. But we're in the business of making Winter better, and we're in the business of expanding Winter. So ultimately, leaving her in the same position she was before coming to Ruinous Records isn't in the best interest for us. And with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and pass that to my co-counsel, Mr. Wilkins.
And thank you, Ms. Rivera. And the fact of the matter is, if we want to play with the big dogs, we got to spend big money. And we compare Miss Evans to these other artists. These other artists are not Miss Evans. I mean, it's just the fact of the matter. Some artists require more recording budgets, more of a recording budget, more of a marketing budget, to be able to foster a product that is just beneficial for everybody. And Miss Evans, while she has shown in the past that she hasn't had that recording budget, that mastering budget, that's not indicative of what the potential is for Miss Evans. Like, I like to compare it to an apple tree. You put a seed in the ground, it creates one apple. Does that mean you cut the entire tree down? No. You keep on watering it and it gets bigger, and eventually you can start selling apples. I mean, we want to work together, and we want to foster an environment to where this product, it just takes this label to a whole nother level. But we need to be able to budge on both sides to be able to reach a firm negotiation, a firm conclusion. So I would also like to recap. We both agreed so far to the one single, right of first refusal to one album. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and right now we are, I'm not gonna say at odds, but right now we're negotiating the recording fund and marketing budget. And that's kind of ties back to creating an environment for Ms. Evans to take her game to the next level and ultimately take y'all's recording label to the next level. So what are there any areas of interest that y'all have about Ms. Evans that maybe concern y'all? Well, maybe we can just jump into that.
I think we're just really excited to work with her. We believe it's only the beginning of her career, right? We think that she, like I said before, she's going to grow into superstardom, and we have avenues to take her there. We have expertise with Prada Man G. He has experience on both the label side and the artist side. But I want to jump back to something you guys said before, and also in this offer that you presented to us. So in the second term, it says $250,000 recoupable only from Michael, 60% revenue from Quiche to Quiche Rana LLC. So are you proposing here that Michael is the single that you guys are going to put out with us?
Yes, that would be one of the singles that we would agree with the 14 masters. We would agree to that one of those singles. And that's going back to that. The execution advance is recoupable from the profits from Michael. And if we don't make that, we are willing to allow you to dip into the profits that we have already made from Michael. So with that being said, it's not as much as a purchase. It's just an advance on money that you will be returned on. So that's where a little bit of just knowing that if you invest up front, you will get that return, and it's a guaranteed recoup, whether the album sales make it or whether it's recouped from the profit from Michael. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and swing that to Ms. Marguglio.
Thank you. So, right, Michael is already doing great. Like Ms. Rivera said, the legwork has been done. We hope you see that as a great opportunity to take an investment that really isn't all that risky. That being said, I know we were set at $250K on the execution bonus. We will come down to $200K if we keep to recouping only from those Michael sales.
But we don't want to take from Winter's success already. We think that she's entitled to have her success where she already has it. I think we actually might have a counter offer ready. Joe, I'm going to pass it to you, Joe.
Yeah, so give me a moment here. I'm going to post. Do you guys still have that link? I know sometimes when you go in the breakout rooms, they.
Yes, sir. We still do.
Okay, good. So
are we using the link to the Excel sheet?
Yeah, the Google spreadsheet. Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to share it, it'd be awesome as well. Could you?
Can I share screen?
Let's just share the link again.
Oh, yeah, I could do that too. Let me.
Okay.
I'm just adding the stuff in there. as we speak, but I could go through it as it's updating.
I'll show you.
So we hope that I think we're going to make great, on this one, we're trying to make a lot of moves here for you guys. And we hope that you guys can see that. We're still agreeing with this one single and one demo album with the right of first refusal. We've come down from 30 masters delivered to 25. We've also upped our advance to $100,000. And we're also willing to increase our budget to $100,000, $50,000 for both. And I want to say as well that the artist royalty that we're looking at here, we're interested in their new songs. We're not interested in, we love Michael. That's why we're here today, is because we love Michael. We think it's great. But at the same time, we want that new heat. We want the new song, the new winter heat. And we don't want to take away, like Ryan said, from success that she created on her own. That doesn't seem, we don't feel justified in taking what's hers. But we want to help her create a whole new song that will make an even bigger impact, and help her succeed in that. And then that way we feel like we helped her, we earned, the money that we would be generating.
Thank you so much. We are so glad that you are showing this kind of confidence, that you know what's to come. But it still doesn't make too much sense to me that we are putting on the table a really safe investment for you, a viral song. So I really don't think that we can expand. It's also risky for us. As much confidence as we have in Miss Evans, we don't want to make it recoupable from music that isn't in our hands yet. I'd also like to address the 25 masters. So many people say that 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, let's say 45 minutes because that was Meg Thee Stallion's most recent album length. 45 minutes is the typical length for an album. 3 minutes is the normal length of a song. So 15 songs is usually an album. 25 masters is nearly 2 albums. It's an album and an EP. That commitment is much too high. And frankly, the recording budget is much, much too low for that many songs. We're really thinking that we have to remain at 15 masters. That is your album right there.
I see I see your point there. But again, I want to go back to the Michael thing. We can really appreciate that, but at the same time, that song's been out 7 months. We're not entirely sure how much that mark, if we re-release that song, it's not going to have the same impact as would a brand new single by Winter. I think Winter, if she had a brand new single, that would be a much better windfall for all parties involved. And she can have her creative juices. She should make something totally new and unique and makes a totally unique impact on society. I think we should take a 2-minute timeout here, and we can discuss further how we want to proceed from here.
And on top of that, also, maybe you guys in this time could prepare a counteroffer for us. Would that be okay with you guys?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, guys, I'm stopping the clock at 30 minutes and 30 seconds. I will break you out into your breakout rooms and you will have 2 minutes. You'll get a notification when you have 60 seconds left.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So both teams have exhausted their 2-minute timeouts. You do still have your 3-minute timeouts remaining. I will go ahead and resume the clock at 30 minutes and 30 seconds, and you may now resume.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're really excited to hear that if you guys came up with a counter offer to us.
Yes, sorry, we're still discussing it and trying to get that on paper right now. I believe Mr. Wilkins is almost done, but yeah, counter offer is coming. Just let us know when you're ready.
Of course, there's no rush. I just want to say a couple things just about what you guys were talking about with the masters before. So we think that if she's gonna, you were talking about putting out a 15-song album, but if we don't have more masters than that, it's going to be really hard to give Winter the flexibility to put her best music out, because she's only going to have 15 songs to choose from there. She's not going to have that ability to maybe put some in the vault and keep it for the long term even. These are all, she gets to curate this album. That's what it's about. And it just doesn't seem to me like we want her to put out her best stuff. That's really what
Correct.
it is. We care about the quality of her music. So if you guys could come up there, that would we would really I think we would benefit from that, both of us.
We agree. We have come up to 18.
And we sent the offer sheet into the chat.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. Sorry, it's taking a second to load. So if you
Also,
could,
just to explain some of those terms, because it's a little bit in a lay language a little bit. So just to kind of go through that with you. So we are proposing the same, what we have locked in, the demo single with right of first refusal to one album. We also have come down to 175K execution advance, and allowed this to be recouped not only from the record sales of Michael, but also the touring of Michael, which ultimately will, as Winter Runner's first tour, this is going to be a major event, as she has the TikTok following to back it, she has the marketing back it, and this is her first tour. With that being said, also, we wanted to do the 18 masters, and just to be clear, we do want a reverter into Quiche Runner if Ruinous Records decides not to go ahead and pursue that deal, because ultimately we don't see the point in holding on to albums that you're not really or songs that you're not interested in using. And then from that, we've come down to 250K recording budget and a 250K promotion budget. So that is another concession that we made with that. And then just to touch on, I know we haven't really talked about it, but I see you're proposing a 360 deal. We want to go ahead and steer clear of that until the relationship's a little bit more stable. It seems like there's a little bit of conservatism on both sides. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and turn that over to y'all.
Just one, well, I got two questions. The offer sheet doesn't show, unless I'm missing it, is a royalty.
Right. So I think there needs to be a little bit more legwork done on that. I don't think we've really come to that. Ideally, we would like to see 60% recoup after recouping 60% for us and 40% to Ruinous on the profit shares of the record. And I believe your initial offer was 10%. Could you explain to us a little bit more about why it seems a little bit low? And we just wonder if this is standard percentage.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that she's unproven. We do think that there's one is because she's unproven and as a songwriter. We know we've seen her success on TikTok. We know her success in that realm, but there is a certain transition that has to be that may take some time, and we have the resources and we have Pradaman who's seen success in both the executive level and the artist level that will be a mentor to Winter and help her transition. So we think the services, the qualitative services that we're offering are really important, and we think that is reflective in the royalty. I wanted to ask a follow-up question about the touring. If she's only going to release one single, and what is she going to be touring exactly?
She would be touring on that album that hopefully would get pushed through with this contract.
Okay, well, I mean, this contract, we're still talking about ROFR. So like an album we're going to be negotiating on that album in a separate contract. Now we can, I actually, if we can, I know we agreed with the single ROFR deal, but if we're going to be talking about these type of things, maybe it is time to discuss the potential opportunity for, rather than having a guaranteed single, we move to a guaranteed album. Because I think with these numbers that we're kind of at an impasse, I think we can feel better with the higher numbers that you guys are asking for if we can get a guaranteed album. And I think if we're going to be starting about talking about touring and stuff, I think, you know, if we only have one song released under our deal with a single, it might become, we're a little unsure how much of that percentage of touring we're going to receive.
Thank you so much. I'm totally aware of your concerns, and I'm acknowledging those are great concerns. I just want to go back to the point you made that she is unproven. Winter Runner is very far from unproven, and I think that, you know, we've gone to each round of these negotiations, and we've had to make the case for her, and I think she's turned over every single time and shown that she has the success and she has the potential to do it. And I think Runas Records can see that too. I mean, there's a reason we're here today, and there's a reason we're at this table. You see the potential in Winter Runner, just like Winter Runner sees the potential in you. With that being said, the concerns about her inexperience and this concern that she might not make the money back, I think that's really where we're at with the royalty. It's just, if there is this concern of not making money back from these songs and this concern that she might not take off, then ultimately we don't really see why Runas Records would have to have 85% of the royalty of that song. It comes down to the end of the day of the right of reversion. If you're not interested in Winter Runner, then ultimately there's no reason that any position that we should put our client into you hanging on to her art when you're not going to push it out. So with that being said, we want to make sure we put in instill these protections for our client, and maybe in future down the road we can look into some more permanent solutions. But as of right now, it seems like both sides are pretty clear that this is a new relationship and we want to be protected on both sides. However, I think Winter has the numbers to back up what she's saying. This isn't like we've said, this isn't just somebody who walks in and, has a really good song recorded. This is a song that has all the work done on it. We're basically giving you a free investment of free money. This song's going to make money. It has the numbers behind it, has a fan base behind it. And ultimately you're getting 18 masters. That's 18 times to possibly make that single where we can go into an album. That's plenty of tries to have a takeoff song. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to my co-counsel.
Yeah, and additionally, this entire negotiation has been kind of twofold. On one end, we're asking you to invest in our client from a recording and marketing budget standpoint. That obviously is an investment, but looking at the recoupable costs, that just based off the pure, I guess virality is a good word to put it, of Michael so far, we've already offered recoupable costs coming from that single. With that already being an established single, that's not as big of an investment as you think it would be. What we're simply asking is for us to grow this relationship, to continue to make good music, and we can even budge a little bit further on the masters, but we do have a set limit, and we want to be able to provide y'all with excellent music to be able to bolster this relationship. So if y'all have a counter offer as well, we'd love to hear that.
Of course, and my co-counsel is going to be coming up with a counter offer as I'm speaking. We're considering all the things that you're saying, and we really appreciate everything that you're saying. And I think my co-counsel might have been a little bit misunderstood. I think what he meant to say really was that Winter's unproven in the professional space. She's been on her own this whole time. And to also address your point at the royalties for what Winter is getting. The industry standard is actually closer to what we are offering. It's usually around, I think we were offering the 15%. It's usually around a little bit more than that. And I think we're also a little bit not on the same page here. We're not looking to put out Michael as a single. That's already out. We want new music. So I just want to make sure that we're staying on track with that, because I feel like that's kind of getting lost in what we're asking for. I think that we have wiggle room. I think you guys have wiggle room. I think we're gonna be able to come to an agreement. And I just want to make sure that we're staying on track with time. You guys mentioned that you were looking for 6 figures in these budgets, right? Okay, so I think that we're going to be able to do something like that. Joe, do you have that counteroffer ready yet?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and type it into the spreadsheet. Still, based on these numbers too, we want to discuss potentially doing a guaranteed album with an option based on the amount of based on the advance and the amount of masters that we're dealing with. We're also willing to give you the edit part of the deal with the masters, where it's the 25 masters delivered, owned by Ruinous, but 3 are revertible back to. It seems I noticed that was in a lot of your counter offers, so we want to be able to provide that for you. And then also for the advance, we are willing to up that to 125,000, and the budget we're also willing to up or to 150,000, which is 75K for each. And the royalty we're willing to go to 17%. And I also want to note, we've come up in advance, we've come up over $100,000. In budget, we've come up again over $100,000. The royalties we've come down from originally asking for, I believe 40% down to 17. And we've also we came down on controllable masters down from 30 to 22. It feels like we're making a lot of concessions and we're not seeing a lot of movement on your end. And I'm not sure, it feels like we're making a lot of the moves here and not seeing any reflection back. I think if I remember correctly, you guys went from, your advance originally was 250,000 and the last offer, I believe, was 175,000. And then the budget, you guys have only gone down 350,000 after starting from 850. So I'm curious, why are we not seeing as much move? I feel like I'm curious as to why that is. We want to try to find that middle ground. It's just it feels like it's been difficult.
We appreciate you going back through that. And we appreciate that counter offer, and we understand that it can feel like you're making a lot of concessions. But ultimately, as you said earlier, we've come down about 300-400K from a lot of our things, and it all just boils down to the fact that this isn't your run-of-the-mill everyday brand new artist. With that being said, I'd like to go ahead and touch on those royalties just really quickly. A lot of major artists who have the popularity, like Miss Evans, they own their songs. They own them. So with that being said, we're not asking her to own the song 100%. That's a hard ask for somebody who is asking for y'all to invest in her. However, we'd also like to point out that a lot of these artists that go to these record companies and are starting off like with one single, that's maybe been played 100 times. You are taking on a risk. However, Miss Evans has the fan base. Miss Evans has the client, the songs, she has the plays. So with that being said, this isn't the standard new artist royalty contract. This should be reflective of her career so far. And we keep going back to the fact that she doesn't have professional experience and on all these things. And we understand that. But that being said, going back to it, we entered this table and you knew who our client was. And we've also seen her success. She's been able to do all of these things on her own. We've talked about that. But ultimately, that's not why we're here. It is to keep having her do it by herself. We're here to reach a negotiation and reach a deal. And we want y'all's help just as much as you want ours. So with that being said, I think my co-counsel has something to say, and we might go ahead and talk about that counter offer and move on from there. So with that being said, Mina?
Thank you. Joe, I remember that you had said that we were kind of discussing, maybe a little prematurely, it sounded, that we basically have a guaranteed album. And when you guys make an offer that has 25 masters, it seems like you have that confidence and that we are speaking in terms of a guaranteed album. You're also expressing hesitancy to come into our ancillary rights a little bit with the touring, but you are asking for 360 rights. So I think that you guys do have this confidence in Winter, and we hope that you will take our offer to recoup from Michael sales as well as touring. But as my co-counsel said, we maybe want to steer clear of the 360 deal right out the gate. She does have to keep in mind her own interests, and we do want to maintain that autonomy for Kishrana. So thank you. And we are going to work through a counter offer now, starting with 18 masters. Let's try to come down on that. Maybe we can concede to 17 or 16 being revertible and a few remain with ruinous. We need to come up 25K on the advance to become 150K. That is going to be kind of a firm threshold there for us. We're coming down from 175 to 150K, and we will visualize all this for you shortly. We still need to come up into the six figures on both budgets though, both the recording and the promotions. Reasons being stated before, the audience is massive. The audience is going to be massive, and quality music takes a great amount of money. Co-counsel?
Yes, just like, we just saw Rihanna had not produced music in 7 years, and she just booked the Super Bowl for like 20 million. So these things are not cheap. It's not cheap to have the stands. It's not cheap to have the concerts, and it's not cheap to back the name. And ultimately, we can continue to treat this as Winter doing it on her own, and Ruinous Records just is in the background investing somewhat and letting Winter, continue her own path. That's not why we were here today. We're here today because we want your help and we want your resources. We want your expertise, but ultimately understanding she has done this by herself, and it will only continue to get better from here if the resources and the money and the investments are put in the right place. So with that being said, I think we're going to go ahead and take a quick time out and go ahead and talk with our client and get a little bit recouped, and then we'll have it presenting our counter offer, and hopefully we can go ahead and get this deal closed today.
Okay, thank you. And I guess after we come back from the timeout, I do want to respond to some of the things that you guys just said, because I think some of it might be getting lost. I just want to emphasize that stuff. So we could take you guys timeout. That's okay.
I actually think, would you mind actually sharing right now before the timeout? It could be helpful to both of us.
Sure. So I mean, a lot was just said. So it's kind of hard to keep track of what was going on, and I just want to make sure that we touch all of our bases. So you mentioned that you want to make sure that Winter owns the songs. She's, as the writer, she owns the copyright, but the label owns the masters. And typically with artists, especially this early in their career, even when they're proven, the labels own the masters. That's something that's very common. We all have confidence in her, and I think that we just really want to see your counter on paper, because like I said, a lot was just said. So if you guys, I mean, I guess within that timeout could come back with that formal counter offer, because she's in also, just, I'm sorry to be disorganized in this sentence, but in that copyright, she's going to be making royalties on the copyright too. So I think that's also getting forgotten here too. So I mean, do you guys want to take your time out still, or do you?
We're going to go ahead and take that time out. I'm really sorry if we kind of confused a little bit of the negotiation. So with that being said, we're going to go take a time out, talk to Winta and get a better understanding. And from that, we can move forward and see where we go from here.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, we are taking a 3-minute time out. I will split you guys into your break rooms, and you'll get a reminder when you have 60 seconds left. All right, guys, welcome back. You have 11 minutes and 14 seconds left in this round. The indie label still has 3-minute timeout remaining. You guys may begin now.
Yep.
Thank you guys for going ahead and taking that time out. With that being said, we'd love to go ahead and we've kind of talked with our client and we've made some concessions in some areas we hope you'll appreciate. And we hope that, this might be our last little time through, and we're going to go ahead and send that counter offer. And I'm going to go ahead and go through that with y'all. So we are going to stick with the, with our first term that said the one demo with the right of refusal to one album. We are going to stick there because ultimately we're set on that. Our client's set on that. We're not budging there. With that being, I'm sorry.
You think that you can send it to us in the chat and then we can follow along with you guys?
He's sending it right in a second. He's typing it up. Reagan, do you have it?
Just for the sake of time.
Yes, for sure. Sorry, he's typing it up, but I'll just keep going through it. It's going to take a second for him to get it ready. We've been having to prep those the whole time. So, with that being said, we wanted to go ahead and lock in the 150 execution advance, if that's okay. That's something that, like Nina said earlier, is a hard thing for us. So we want to do the 150K advance. We are going to go ahead and concede to the royalties at 17% as you offered earlier. We understand that is a standard industry, an industry standard. So we're willing to concede to that. What we would like to go back to the masters. For the masters, we're going to go ahead and stick at 18, but we're going to allow Ruinous Records to have the title of 13 of these masters, with 5 reverting back to Winter Runner, and she gets to pick the 5. So if all 18 are great and she gets to take 5, Ruinous Records gets the title to the rest of the 13, no questions asked. With that being said, with moving on all of these things, we're going to go ahead and hit back on that recording and marketing budget. We want to see that to both 210 and 210. Ultimately, with these concessions that we're making and guaranteeing 13 songs to Ruinous Records, these things that we can't budge on. And my co-counsel just shared that counter in the chat, so I'd love to hear what you have to say about
that. We're just downloading it now, and I'm going to see if I
apologize for the late transfer. We just got to make sure that it's all correct when we send it on paper.
Totally okay. I think this is we're getting a lot closer here. I'm very happy that we're able to make some headway. Well, I think we're going to be able to come down with you guys on that advance. I mean, for us to go to that advance like that, we're going to need more masters than, because we would only be getting 5 here. That
was a typo. I just changed it. You are getting 13 masters. We are getting reverter of 5, and Winter gets to pick the 5 that she wants to. But I just changed it. It was a typo. I fixed.
Okay, so it's 15 masters to us. I'm sorry.
13 masters, 5 to us, 18 total masters.
Okay. And 210 recording, 210 promotion. I think that was different than what you did. Is that the same number that you guys just said? I thought that was okay. And no 360. Okay. I think we can address these things in our counteroffer. I believe we have that ready for you guys.
Yeah, and for the sake of time, I believe we'll just we'll put it in there now. Give me one moment to input those numbers. But sorry.
So we're willing, like I said, to make some headway here, but why do you guys have this specific number of masters in mind? Why do you think that in this let me restart that sentence. With this album, this is not including Michael, right?
It's an option if you would like to include Michael on the album, but
no, we do not want to. We do not want. I just want to make sure, because that was said a lot earlier, and I don't want to cause any confusion here. We also think that in these masters, there's not going to be there's not going to be wiggle room for us to, even with just 3 songs, to put out like a really good quality piece of art. And let's reemphasize that Winter is going to be a star. We want to make sure that we throttle her to that superstardom. I think Joe has the counteroffer ready.
So you would see, to answer your question, that Meg Thee Stallion's album, Something for the Hotties, did have 21 songs, but some of them were only a minute long. We're not really trying to put out, like a compilation of freestyles or something like that. We want to give you beautiful, well-rounded, fully composed, mixed down, great tracks of music. You're going to get that from around 15. You're certainly going to get a great album out of 18. And when 13 of those go to you, we can guarantee that that is a very sound investment. And I believe my co-counsel Riviera has something to add.
I'm sorry if I could just jump in real quick so we can send you that, because for the sake of time, I think we only have about 5 minutes left. We have a counteroffer ready for you guys if you want to see it before Miss Rivera speaks.
Yeah, and I just put those numbers into that spreadsheet, and this has got to be our final offer based on the time that we have here. Obviously, we could pick this up at the next negotiation section, but what we're looking at here is a guaranteed album with an ROFR after the album, 25 masters delivered total, but 5 revertible. Back to you guys. We can bring down the masters number in total, but it would mean less revertible ones for you guys. The advance, we can agree on the advance. For the budget, we had to come down slightly because we're only authorized to go so high, but we can meet you basically there with the $400,000 budget with $200,000 each, with the recording being recoupable. And the 17% artist royalty we're willing to agree to as well. Obviously, you guys are too. But we do want to make sure that Michael is not part of that royalty scheme. What we're talking about is new anything that's released on this guaranteed album. Now, whether we choose later to release Michael as a whole, that's, we've been going back and forth on that, and we don't have to decide that here. But we want to make sure that the proceeds that have been from Michael previously is not really attached to this agreement. And also, I want to address the masters thing. I know you guys, this is a pretty fairly common industry standard to have this amount of masters owned by the label. And I think we're actually being very, very flexible and granting you guys 5 revertible ones. This is very unusual and very uncommon. And we hope that you guys can notice that in this offer, that we're really trying to stretch what we normally do for other artists here. And from that, I would like to get your guys' thoughts.
First and foremost, this counter looks great. There's just a few little concerns, but I think we can go ahead and edge these out right now, and hopefully we can finish this deal out. Ultimately, with the Michael thing, with the Michael song, we were just offering that because, a lot of albums that release singles and then they put the song on the album, it makes the album better because people know now when you download that song to look at it, it's attached to an album now. So all of her songs are going to be attached. So ultimately we were kind of throwing that in because we already did the legwork on it. And if we get to keep the profit on a great song, we'll go ahead and do that. But we were just putting it in there for more of the benefit to sweeten the pot. Now you have a major song attached to a new album. It's not going to be a brand new album with all brand new songs. But ultimately, like you said, we can iron that out later. So my only concern is the name, image, likeliness. I don't think we can agree to that. But everything else, I think, we've said, we can go ahead and concede to the 25, I believe. Oh, no, I'm so sorry about that. I will watch my tone. But ultimately the NIL is just very concerning. That's just not gonna work from a record label. She's attached to a management company, and she's hopefully gonna have more contracts with that. So ultimately we can't agree to a name, image, likeliness contract.
And pertaining to the 25, if we could lower that further, we can actually go just a tad bit lower on the total budget for marketing and recording, if you want to do that as well. So maybe 20 total masters.
Okay, can we take our 3-minute timeout then, and then we can discuss that, if that's feasible for us.
Just to recap before the timeout, the only questions in the air are the NIL and possibly lowering the masters to 20, correct?
As I
because
understand.
everything else we agree with, we are content with the marketing, promotions budget, recording budget, everything looks fine. The only thing, and even if that means, having maybe possibly 3 reverters at 20, I understand you said that earlier, so possibly that, but ultimately, those are the only things that our concerns are about.
Okay, so
Okay.
the
Let's take that time out now.
All right, guys, this is the final 3-minute timeout. I will go ahead and break you out into your breakout rooms, and you will receive a notification when you have 60 seconds left.
Thank you.
All right, teams, welcome back.
Our offer is on the table.
All right, so we have 1 minute and 19 seconds left. I will go ahead and resume the clock now, and you guys may begin.
Offer is in the chat.
Oh, I thought we were presenting an offer. I mean, we switched the NIL and we took out the NIL and we changed our masters to 22 with 2 deliverable revertible back to Winta. So this way, if she is delivering more masters, she is going to get 2 out of it. And we're willing to let her choose one of them, have the first choice of one of them. But that will be our final offer.
So yeah, I'm glad you guys came through with that offer, because for the sake of time, we're going to throw one right back at you. So we're adamant on the demo single, and I think that's going to be a great choice for you guys too, just so you can get a feel for the direction of the album. We got to stay firm on the 150K recoupable only from tour and record sales of Michael, and that's going to be 17% royalty for us on the album, and the rest to you guys. We have come up a bit. We're coming up maximum 20 masters. 3 should revert back to Winter. She really needs to walk away with something. And 200K for recording and promotion, but no 360. But you can have rights to merch, commercial, and appearances and touring.
And with that, just to add, we want to make sure that with these reverters, Winter gets full complete choice.
Okay, I mean, I appreciate that, but you know, it's really disappointing because we thought those were the only 2 terms we had left to deal with. We thought we were right at a deal, but goodbye. Thank you for your time. But yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't come to a deal. Hopefully we can pick this up soon.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Appreciate it. It was a great time.
All right, awesome, guys. Congratulations on making it past round 2. At this time, I would like to open the floor for our judge, Attorney Brian Robinson, for his remarks regarding you guys' round. Attorney Robinson.
Hi, guys. I'm Brian Robinson. I'm the judge here. I'm an actual music attorney, so it's kind of fun to watch you guys talk about stuff that I actually talk about every day. And some of the things that you guys talk about, maybe I can use at some point in the future. But in any event, I mean, I think both sides did really well. I was impressed with what you guys were doing. You know, a couple of things I'd say, you know, you got to be careful about in terms of these negotiations. And sometimes you guys can throw out numbers, but you ought to make sure when you put out the numbers that you have something behind you, because the other side obviously is going to ask you questions about it. So, you know, when you come out with an initial offer, you want to be able to back it up 100%. So, you know, let's make sure that when you do these things, you have the because you know what the other side's going to say. So if you come out and you say, okay, well, we want to pay 30,000 to pick up 15 masters or 20 masters or something like that, then you just do the basic math to see what it is that you're putting out there. And then, you know, also try to have an idea. I mean, I know this is a you know, mock trial situation and you guys might not know much, but, you know, maybe a little understanding about how much it actually costs to make a record would go a long way in towards of helping you guys get to numbers that make a lot of sense. But all in all, I think you guys did a great job in terms of hitting a lot of the most important issues that we really face in, you know, everyday real situations, including having your artists step in a minute and be like, this is ridiculous. I thought that was brilliant. You know, so, you know, that's what I would say for the most part. But yeah, I mean, again, with things like NILs and 360 deals and those kind of things, you know, it's something that we face every day, something that I think I'll point out to the artist side. You know, one of the things that you want to say in those situations is, does the record company actually have experience doing any of that kind of stuff, right? So, I mean, everybody's going to ask for it, but does anybody have the ability to actually do it? And then from the record company side, it's sort of like, well, you want to press on the idea that they're asking you to spend a lot of money on marketing. Well, you need to therefore take part in some of the revenue streams that come from the money that you're spending on marketing. And that might explain why you get more than just record revenue, right? So, you know, to the extent that you feel like you can take part in some of the NILs and the other things that are available to there, a lot of that will have to do with the money that you guys are spending on marketing. So just a couple of little things to throw in there to you guys as you move forward. But I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Your time.
All right, teams. Thank you so much, Attorney Robinson. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Torrance Burnett for any remarks he may have before we break.
Great job. Congratulations to each of you. If you look at your run of show, we'll come back here in about think it's about what 45 minutes and announce who's going to advance. Do remember, as soon as we announce that advancing team, send me an email, preferably from your Gmail account. So I still don't know which school you're from, and I'll get you over your problem set because you'll have about 2 hours to prepare for the finale. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.